juice that is out there. It's also a sunscreen. You can rub it on. In fact, I think I have it in my truck. I use that. I use Buzz Off. I use a number of different things that are organic, and you know, you can place those on. They're not perfect by any means.
I have one called Swipe Water.
Yeah,
That works.
that works. So that one works in certain
Wait,
insects.
on what type of mosquito?
And what I do is I typically put this on my clothes. If I'm out late in the evening, I have a bandana. I put it around that, or my hat on the bandana, on the band of the hat, and that helps repel them around the face. But there's no good answer for those. Any others? Yes, sir. You had a question? Bees. Honeybees or just other types of bees? Honeybees. Most of the time, honeybees will not bother you unless you have something on you that's attracting the insect to you. And so the reason I wear khaki all the time is because when you wear dark clothes, bees come at you. When you wear light-colored clothes, they don't bother you. When you see the bee handlers handling bees, they're always in a white suit, aren't they? Because the bees don't bother them. So the best thing to do is wear light-colored clothes when you're outside, and the bees tend to leave you alone.
Or a bee suit.
And I don't want to wear a bee suit. They're hot. But I work around bees all the time. And as long as I'm not bothering them, they don't bother me. And that, again, wearing the light-colored clothes. If I get stung, and I've been stung many times, the thing is not to panic. Because if you panic and there's a bunch of bees around, they'll attack you. And you don't want that happening either. Just say, ouch, grab it, and walk away. Get out of the area as fast as you can by walking, not by running. Good question. That's
African bees, so.
What's
The
that?
African bees, so.
The Africanized bees. I've actually had 2 of them on my property, 2 hives, and we've removed them. And they are not what they show in the movies.
Really?
Yeah, I was out line trimming one day, and I zip, 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 and all of a sudden there's a few of them around my head. And so I'd back off and I'd go. Look up in this old house that I've got. It's a 115-year-old house. And up in the rafters, there's a bunch of bees. And I thought, just honeybees. Well, the beekeeper came out and we removed the bees. And when we were removing them, he said, these are Africanized bees. So he requeened the hive, kept the whole hive, and requeened it with a European, and they're fine.
How do you requeen?
You find the queen, you kill her, and you put a new queen in. You keep them boxed in for several days, and you open it up, and you have a honey source near, preferably honey, nearby, or some kind of a sugar source, and they'll eat on that for several days before they start venturing out further around the area. And they get used to that queen because they've got to feed her, and once all these bees touch one another, they said, we've got a new queen. First bee touches the queen, passes it on to the next bee, and all of a sudden everybody in the hive knows a new queen.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, it's like, you know.
And they're not violent anymore.
Oh, they are violent. They'll protect their queen, but so will any other honeybee.
Right. But
But I have not had any problem with the Africanized bees. The biggest thing with the Africanized bees is hitting the hive. You know, if you hit the hive directly, yeah, you better run and you better jump into something, close it off, and kill all the bees that are on you because they're going to keep stinging you as long as they can.
Well,
But,
are they also to a lawnmower? Because I know in San Antonio
No.
that they've had attacks and they attack the dogs and everything.
No, what happens is the
that
lawnmower
they
throws something up and hits the
hit
hive.
Oh.
Because I ran a 6-foot mulching mower right beside this, I mean, within 5 feet of this doggone hive.
And nothing
That was the
happened?
second time that I found it, and nothing happened.
Happened. Oh, so then that, whatever they were using, the mower threw it up.
The mower
against the
threw it
hive.
up and hit the hive. And then, once the hive is irritated, and this is only certain times of the year.
Yeah.
This is, when they're out foraging this time of the year, they're looking for
For
honey.
food, yeah.
And they're not gonna bother you. It's late in the fall when they don't have, they got a lot to protect,
Yeah.
so they're gonna do
Can
that.
you tell a difference in them, just
Yes.
looking at them?
Yes, you can.
What are they?
What's the difference? It's very minute. They're a little tiny, a fraction of an inch larger than the typical honeybee. And they are more aggressive. When you walk up to the hive, a typical honey hive, you'll have 8 or 10 bees come after you. And they'll just buzz around you saying, back off.
But we've got a bunch of,
Talking about the kale
yeah,
plants.
yeah, well, we let them go. Artificial cabbage, we let them go about.
Mhm.
We just cover the leaves. And I walk by and they never bother me. They'll slant on my hand and go back to it, they never
Right.
bother me. So I don't bother them. But you can brush by them and they're not aggressive at
Oh,
all.
no, not even an Africanized bee. When it's foraging, it's aggressive.
But they're,
It's when you get up next to their hive, you hit their hive for some reason or another, and then they're coming after you, and it's usually late fall, because they've got a tremendous amount of honey, they're trying to protect it. And in the spring, they're not gonna bother you. The later it gets into the year, the more likely you are to get stung. When their honey reserves are low, they're not gonna bother with you. They're out hunting. They want to get all the honey they can, all the pollen they can. They're not going to bother you.
Have the bees declined in this area? Have they haven't?
Well, from the time of the 60s and 70s, yes.
Because I have a plum tree and it's blooming right now, and normally that plum tree is just loaded with bees. But this year, very few.
Really? Where do you live again?
In the Garden Ridge area, towards Natural Ridge Garden.
Yeah, we do have some problems, but I wouldn't say it's declined any more in the last 10 years.
I was just looking at that the other day, and normally right at this time, right when the blooms are completely out, and full, that tree is just, I don't even go around it because there's so many bees. But this year, there's not very many at all, and I was really surprised. Because we were going to start a garden, and I was thinking, well.
Could be that the local hives are not
They're not producing, or that people just don't have them.
Well, as more and more development comes in, we push these out. And so if you've got an old hollow tree somewhere, you've probably got a beehive in it.
I have bumblebees. I've
That's
seen
good.
quite a few of those.
But they won't.
But, no, I don't very seldom see them, pollinating anything.
And like tomatoes, they're not pollinated by a honeybee anyway.
No, that's true. But
Maybe
squash
it's-
and stuff is, aren't they?
Squash is.
And cucumbers also?
Yeah, the larger blends. Yes, sir.
If you're stung by a honeybee or any kind of bee, what's your recommended course of action?
What you're supposed to do is get a credit card and scrape against it and try and pull it out with that. And if you can't, then get a pair of tweezers and twist as you're pulling. That tends to work the best.
You can put ice on it, or
Yeah, I typically put ice on it, and then I put aloe on it after that, and it goes away. Doesn't bother me. If you're allergic to it, you can take Aphis, which is homeopathic. You have some of that? No?
what's it called?
Yeah, Aphis. They're little. Yeah, Sun Harvest has them. A lot of stores have them. It's just a little vial that has something that looks like sugar pellets in it, and you put it under your tongue, and no problem. So yeah, I keep that in. That's something else I keep in my truck. Yes, ma'am.
Wasn't there a bee that the honeybees were getting this past year, the year before? And they
CCD.
did not know what was happening to them?
Well, there's several things that are happening right now. One of the things is they still have this trait, this mite that gets in the bee's trachea and kills a lot of them. That's, the more organic the bees are, and the more you have them in the wild, that's not a problem. When they're in commercial fields that have been sprayed a lot, that tends to be a problem. When you've got honeybees that are in the wild, they tend to do much better than those that are near fields that are getting sprayed on a constant basis. And then this thing about EM, I've looked at that and I've read a lot about that, and there are people that say, yes, the EM from cell phones is causing them distortion. They can't get back to their hive. I haven't found that to be true.